Welcome to our super cozy Q&A this Christmas time, where I'm going to be answering all the questions about design, business and me. We're also going to be doing a 2021 roundup and see exactly what I've got up to. So I put out a post within the YouTube community and over on my Instagram asking for some juicy questions about everything design related, everything me, anything you want to know. So we're going to be using my phone to answer all of those questions. So let's start with a really quick roundup of 2021 plus 2020. So I would actually really love to know in the comments if you are now a business owner and you're running your own business because of the pandemic and because of lockdown, because that is essentially where I feel like my story began. So if you don't know my story, I will explain. So it was March 2020, I got furloughed from my full-time job, which meant that I had a lot of spare time where I could work on my business. I tried to do my business when I was working my full-time job, but just felt like I literally had no time. I was coming home from work, working in the evenings, and it just felt like there was so much going on and I couldn't put my full attention into my business. So when I got furloughed, I was like, oh my God, I have so much time. Let's try and do this. Let's try and get a business running. Let's try and find some clients and let's really build an audience within Instagram and hopefully a YouTube channel. Fast forward to August 2020, I had done that within those months and it was time for me to finally leave my full-time job as a designer at this other company and to pursue my business full time, which is just insane that I managed to do that. So I did that and I then got into 2021, set some goals for myself, and the two main goals were to work with some incredible clients and really figure out my design style as a designer and really push my YouTube channel in 2021. We did all of that. We smashed the goals out the park and we are now here in December 2021, and this is where I feel like I have grown the most because I finally figured out exactly where I want my business to go, and it's down more of the personal brand route. So that is exactly where we are, and that is how my story and my business happened. So I would actually love to know in the comments your story, exactly how you got to where you are today. If you're a designer, if you're a freelancer, if you're a design student, whatever you are, put your story in the comments so we can all see what stage you're at. So let's get straight into our first question of this Q&A, and it is, how do you get design clients or how to approach them to work for me? So personally, I use two platforms, which is Instagram and YouTube, to try and attract my specific clientele. I think you've got to start with figuring out who you want to try to attract and then also figure out where these clients hang out. So is it on YouTube? Is it Instagram, LinkedIn, TikTok, wherever it is? You can then start targeting them on that specific platform. The next thing is trying to figure out your specific design style. So I'm not gonna lie, this took me probably a year to a year and a half to actually figure out what I like designing and what style I preferred. So don't worry if you don't have that figured out, because it can be a learning curve, but I found once I figured out my style, which you guys know is quite quirky, quite bold, quite out there, you'll find that you'll target that specific clientele that wants that design style. So I get a lot of clients wanting the more bold, the more brave moves, and it's definitely helped within my business knowing what my design style is. I also find that when I put out work on my Instagram, so for example, I put out a coffee brand the other week, I had an influx of inquiries from either coffee brands or other brands that wanted that specific design style. So make sure you are constantly putting work out onto social media, because you never know who is watching you. You might have someone following you that has been following you for 6 months and they've been umming and ahhing about branding, they've been following a few brand designers. You might put out a piece of work that they absolutely adore and they go, yeah, that is the designer that I want to work with. They have swayed me with that design, and then they might inquire. So make sure you are constantly trying to put work out there to target specific industries that you want to work with. So I'm going to give you an example of what I mean by all of this. So last year, I don't know if anyone can remember, but I designed a candle brand on this YouTube channel and I put the work out on Instagram and YouTube. And I kid you not, I had around 15 to 20 inquiries from existing candle brands wanting me to rebrand their candle business because they had watched my YouTube channel, they had seen the video, they saw my Instagram, they saw the designs, they saw the candle box, and they wanted the exact same for their business. They knew that I could design a candle brand because they had seen it firsthand. So if you are wanting to attract a specific industry, you know what to do. Create a fake brand that targets them specifically, and then hopefully once you put that work out into the world, onto social media, you might get some potential industries from that specific clientele. So if you currently have no design clients and you're wanting to kind of get your first client, the best place to start is just doing passion projects. Get your work out there, create some brands, try and figure out your style, what you like designing, what you don't, and then hopefully you'll get those potential inquiries. So let's move on to question number 2, which is, what is the biggest advice you can give someone wanting to start a YouTube channel centered around design? So I would probably say just start. Don't worry about having the best lighting, the best equipment, the best editing, because this can be so overwhelming, wanting to have the best things, that it can actually stop you from starting. So if you actually go back to some of my older videos that I did at the very start, they actually make me cringe so much just thinking about them because they are so bad. But because I just started and I didn't worry about having the best camera, I literally filmed. I remember filming on my phone. I propped it up. I didn't even have like a tripod or anything. I propped it up on the side and I was just going for it. It was great. But yeah, if I let the other things get in the way, like having the best camera, having the best lighting, making sure that my setup was good, it would have really stopped me from starting, because thinking about having everything, and I don't know, it just feels very overwhelming. So the best advice I can give is honestly just start. The next bit of advice I want to give is to make sure that you are scripting your videos, because there is nothing worse than trying to talk to the camera if you're not good at talking to the camera anyway. Trying to just talk and not knowing what you're actually talking about can really hold you back, and it can actually make you give up. I found at the early stage of starting the YouTube channel, I did not script any of my videos. I was just filming offhand. I just didn't even have any bullet points of stuff that I was talking about. And I found myself rambling a lot, meaning that the videos would be very long, meaning it would be less engaging for the audience. Also, if you're not very good at talking to the camera and you lack confidence in that way, do not worry, because I was in that exact same position. I could not talk to the camera. I was actually awful and I had no confidence. But what I will do is insert a clip here so you can see exactly where I started, to show you that it is possible to gain confidence as time goes on. I also will be doing some more videos, maybe on my illustrations, depending on what you guys want to see, whether that be time lapses, my actual drawings, but I'm so excited to use this new product. So as you can see, the confidence that I had back then was little to none. I was so quiet. I wasn't me. My personality couldn't come through because it was a new experience for me. But after recording video after video and being consistent with it, I gained so much more confidence, and I actually learned as I went on how to speak to the camera, how to show my personality. So the best advice I can give is honestly just start. You will not be confident and you will not feel like you're ready to talk to the camera, but just do it and you will gain that confidence as it goes on. The last thing that I want to say is that you need to go for quantity over quality. So at the start, when you're putting out content on YouTube, you're probably not gonna know that much about the platform. You're still trying to get your foot in the door. The quality of the video probably isn't gonna be great. So just get as much content out there consistently as you can. What I will say is, please let me know in the comments if you'd like to see a whole video on this if you want to start a YouTube channel as a designer, because I can go over absolutely everything that I have learned and share my knowledge about YouTube. Let me know. So let's move on to question number 3, which is, have you ever thought about going back and working in the corporate world as an in-house designer, or at an agency? So I actually haven't, but what I have done is I've been an apprentice for 8 months. I worked full-time as a designer for 4 years. So I feel like I've already picked up a lot of experience within that kind of industry. And I now finally feel like I have found my feet within the industry. I finally actually found something that I really want to pursue and work on and build on. And I just feel so more excited being able to work for myself and actually build and see a difference that I'm making within the design industry. So now thinking back at my older jobs, I actually do remember feeling like there was this little gap missing within my life. Like I never felt settled within that job and I could kind of want more. And like, whereas now within this job that I have running my own business, I never ever feel like that because there's constantly new things that I can do, new things that I can improve on. Whereas at my other job, I did kind of feel like a robot and that the work that I was producing for this company wasn't actually aligned with what I wanted to do. Whereas now I get the chance to work with incredible brands and actually pick the jobs that I want to do. Whereas when you work for another business, you obviously have work that comes in that you can't really pick and choose what you want to do. Whereas now I can literally choose as a brand designer the clients that I want to work with, which is one thing that I absolutely adore about this job. It's actually quite scary thinking that I might not ever go back and work for either like an agency or work for someone else. I might just be running my own business for the rest of my life. And it kind of excites me with how many opportunities there are right now and in the future. So I don't know, I'm kind of excited about that, but it's scary. It is scary working for yourself because it's like the fear of the unknown. You don't know what's going to happen. Whereas when you're in a more stable job of working for someone else, it feels a lot more comfortable. But I guess we're all about pushing ourselves out of our comfort zone. So let's move on to our next question, which is quite a long one. So, hi Abby, I'd love to know, would it be better to jump on design challenges on Instagram and get more exposure as a designer, or should I continue creating based on briefs that I enjoy? Since I feel like I'm struggling between finding ideal clients versus being more visible in the design community. So this really depends on what your goals and your aim is for using Instagram as a platform. So if it is to engage more with designers, you want to grow more of a following, you like kind of speaking to other designers, then it would be to do those design briefs because they are such a good way of getting into the design community, meeting other designers who are kind of in the same situation as you. But if you are using a platform more to attract your potential clientele, then I would 100% recommend coming up with your own specific fake brands to target that specific niche. I think the design challenges are insane if you kind of want to build your engagement, you want to build more of an audience with designers, but there is nothing better than coming up with your own brief that can target specific clients. So if you're not sure, try and figure out exactly what you're using the platform for, what your goal is, and then you can decide from there if you want to do the design challenges or if you want to come up with your own. So next question, let's move on. We have got, how do you juggle multiple big projects at once? I'm a junior graphic designer at an ad agency and I am so stressed out. So trying to juggle different design projects at once, your personal life, absolutely everything is hard. And I definitely found this within my old job and I still find it really hard now. So I actually only take on 2 running projects a month because I obviously run this YouTube channel. I've got a few other things going on as well. So it can be hard, but I will try and give you my best advice. So starting with number 1, it is figure out the maximum capacity you can do in a month, whether that's working with 1 client, 2 clients, 3 clients. Obviously, this is going to be a little different if you're working for like an ad agency, but I think it's still good to know the max capacity you can work on and you can do so that your manager or whoever it is knows that, right, I can give them 3 projects a month and they're going to be fine. If I give them any more, it's going to be an overload and it's not going to be achievable. So something that has been incredibly helpful for me is actually scheduling out a month in advance of the projects I've got going on. So I will write out a rough timeline of the projects that I've got going on, how long each individual thing I roughly think is going to take me, and it honestly just feels so much clearer seeing like everything in that month and knowing what I've got going on, rather than there being 4 projects going on and I'm not sure like where my time is allocated. Once I put in that time and I know, right, that's going to take me 3 days to do that, that's going to take me 2 days, it just honestly makes things so much clearer and I feel so much more organized with my projects. So I recommend scheduling out a whole month in advance. Next is using a project management system, so something like Trello or Asana. I love to use Asana. I've used Asana since I was at my old job and it's just such an easy platform to use. So I basically just add in every single project that I've got booked in and I put all of the information in there about the project, so then I can see an overview of what I've got going on in that month. Like I mentioned before, I like to schedule my months. Asana gives you that like calendar view where you can see exactly what projects you've got and where, and it's just so handy to have a system where everything is. I think in the past I actually had one project that I nearly forgot about because I think I used to write everything in my notebook and I didn't actually have like a system online where all my projects would kind of be tracked. So highly recommend getting like a project management system where you can input all of your projects and everything that you've got going on, so nothing is forgotten about, and once again you can see everything scheduled out within your month. Next is prioritize. Make sure that you are writing your tasks from high to low. So even at the start of the day, I love to write to-do lists. Like to-do lists are my thing. I will always write out the 2 high priority tasks that need to be get done and I will just do them straight away, and then I've got my medium to low tasks that kind of need to be done, but if they don't get done, it doesn't matter. So always prioritize your tasks. Then the last thing is time blocking. Now this has saved me this year. I actually never used to do this. I don't even know where I learned this, but I basically at the start of every single day, I will write my to-do list and I will literally time block every single hour. So from my month schedule and the allocated time that I have, I know exactly what projects I've got going on. So then when I write my daily to-do list, I literally write out, right, for the next 3 hours, I am working on this. For the next hour, you're working on this. Lunchtime, then we go on to the next half of the day. And just knowing that I've got every single hour allocated. And even if you don't kind of hit those deadlines, it kind of pushes you to do that. But if you don't, it doesn't matter. But you've done the time, you've put in the work to kind of allocate your time, and it just, I don't know, it clears my mind knowing that my day is planned and I know exactly what I'm doing. So hopefully these help. That was quite a lot of information, but yeah, hopefully they help. So the next one is there any way of making an inquiry form for free? There is indeed, and this is something that I used to use before I even built my website, and it is Google Forms. So Google Forms is completely free, and it actually allows you to do a lot of things. So you can put in questions where you can put like a full paragraph answer. They've got drop down menus, they've got tick boxes, they've got everything that you need that you can send to potential clients. You can literally send them the link and they can fill out the form and you'll get all of the information back. So you don't have to pay for anything. It is completely free, and I used to use this, so it is a good platform. I haven't done a Q&A in a while, and I forgot that my throat always hurts because I'm just chatting and rambling for absolute hours. So let's move on to our next question, which is best advice on how to start graphic design career without going to a formal school. So if you followed me on here and on Instagram, you will actually know that I never went to university, I never studied design. I only went to college, which I studied fine art and graphic design. So I don't actually have a qualification at university as a designer. So after college, I then just went straight into the design industry with an apprenticeship, and then I worked with as an in-house designer for 4 years for another company. And I picked up so much knowledge from other people and working with kind of other designers, and I just soaked all of that in and gained as much experience as possible. And that is the best advice I can give anyone, is that if you can, go and get some work experience within a design agency or within an in-house company where you can learn off of other people. Because without that, I don't think that I would be able to do what I do today, because I just would not be confident enough. But if you cannot do that, then the next best piece of advice I will give you is to take online classes and soak up all of those free resources like YouTube. So the resources are all out there. You can literally learn anything from your sofa and being at home. You just have to be willing to put in the work. So for example, if you're wanting to learn more about design and become a brand designer, you can literally take courses or online classes of how to design logos, how to do brand strategy, how to build a brand. There are so many resources out there that you can learn from and actually just do from home. You do not need a certificate, or you don't need to go to university to kind of learn these skills. Like, the resources are out there, and I am a perfect example of this. Hopefully that answers the question. So the next question that we're going to go on to is, do you have strict business boundaries in place, or do you burn the midnight oil? I am going to be totally honest in this one and say that I struggle so much with having boundaries in place. Like, I just do not know when to stop, and this has just been a struggle of mine ever since I started running my business. So unlike my old job where I would go in at 8:30 and I would leave at 4:30, I don't have that because I'm literally working from my design studio. So sometimes I would start work at 8 and I would literally finish at 9 o'clock in the evening. Like, it is bad sometimes, but I guess it will come with time. But the thing that I keep thinking is that right now I have the time and the capacity to put into my business, and I want to use it wisely. So that's exactly what I'm doing. And to be honest, I actually don't see what I'm doing as like work. It doesn't feel like, oh God, like I've got to go in on Monday and I've got to go and do this. And like, I don't dread it ever. I literally come into work, I'm like, ooh, what am I doing today? Like, I'm excited to work. I get to build this brand. I get to film a YouTube video. Like, I don't know. The fact that I get to be so creative, I don't mind putting in the hours that I do. What I will say is, one thing that has helped me massively with kind of switching off and having like a day to refuel is picking a specific day. So I have Saturdays off every single day, and I do not come down to the studio. I make sure that my brain is switched off from work and I actually go and do something fun. And that way for me is a day of refueling, resetting myself in order for the days that I work. So having like an individual day that, you know, right, that is my rest day. I'm going to work my arse off for the rest of the week, and then I've got that day to just relax and do what I want. That really helps me. And then Sundays are my day where I kind of do like work for half of the day that's much slower. So I know like the weekend for me is like a lot more slower, a lot more relaxed, and then from Monday to Friday, that's when I can put in all of that work and just work really hard. One thing I will say is that if you don't want to set boundaries, like, you don't have to set boundaries. If you're a person that just like likes to overwork, then you do that. Don't worry if people are like, oh, you work too much, like, do you not burn out? Don't worry what other people are doing. But if you are that type of person that likes to have strict boundaries, then you do what works for you. Like, every business is different, every person is different. There's someone that can probably only work 20 hours a week before their creativity burns out. There might be someone that can work 70 hours a week, that they can just keep going and it doesn't matter. Like, every person is different, and you've got to remember that. So don't worry if your process looks different and you feel like you're more burnt out than someone else, because everybody is different. Right, let's move on to our next question, which is my favorite question, which is, what helped you become more comfortable speaking on camera? Now, this is a bit like starting a YouTube channel. So honestly, just starting, like, you are never going to feel ready to show up and start talking to the camera. So you've got to start showing up until you feel confident. So I actually started speaking to the camera for the first time, so before my YouTube channel, on Instagram in March 2020, I think it was. So this was after I got furloughed and I had that time where I was working on my business and trying to build my brand. And I knew that video was such a big kind of platform for your audience to get to know you and to build your business. So I actually challenged myself for 30 days straight to talk on my Instagram story every single day. And I'm not even kidding, after each day and each story that I did, I just got more confident. Even if it still wasn't me. I was putting on a posh accent. Like, it took me a long time to actually feel comfortable talking to the camera. But even doing it for 30 days straight, I just felt so much more confident. So after those 30 days, it actually turned into more of a habit. So because I'd been showing up continuously for 30 days, it just felt like part of my routine, and I actually thoroughly enjoy talking on my stories, showing people like what I get up to, just showing people like a little bit of my life. I really like that, and that is why I continued to do it for a year and a half, and I'm still doing it to this exact day. So if you don't follow me on Instagram and you want to see like more of the behind the scenes of what I get up to, go and follow me over there. I'm literally on my stories every single day. But yeah, the best bit of advice I will give you is to honestly just start. Don't worry about being confident on camera. Don't worry about knowing kind of what to say. Just start and keep up with it. Be consistent with it, because every time you put out a video and you talk to the camera, you will learn something new. You will learn how to kind of be a little bit more confident each time, and you'll just pick up those skills, and that's exactly what have happened. What I will do for a bit of fun is add in a story from when I first started speaking to the camera, so you guys can see how bad I was, how quiet I was, and how unconfident I was, and that it is possible to do it if you just keep up with it and you be consistent with it. For other designers, I live for this, and it is so nice to be in a community where other designers support each other. So reading all of your comments honestly makes my day. We actually have chocolates on the tree and my belly is rumbling, so we're gonna have a little snack together throughout this Q&A. That was so good. I feel like I needed that. So let's go on to the next question. Let me finish my mouthful first. No one wants to hear me munching. So it is, how do I reach out to businesses to see if they would like to have their business rebranded? What is the best approach? So I'm going to answer this personally and actually tell you exactly what I do and what has worked for me. So I've actually never reached out to a business myself and offered them my services, because that just feels really like unauthentic to me and not the way that I market myself. So I always find that kind of way a bit too salesy, a bit too corporate, and obviously that's absolutely fine if that's your way of working, but for me personally, I've just never liked that style of marketing. So I want brands and businesses to come and work with me for my design style and the love of my work. I find it so much harder trying to sell my services to businesses that are hesitant with working with me, rather than people that are inquiring and fighting to work with me because they just really want to work with me, because they know exactly what I can do. I find that there's more value in people inquiring rather than me reaching out to them. And obviously that is a personal preference and something that's how I like to market myself. The one thing that I would say, which I mentioned at the start, the way to do this is by targeting your specific niche and the clientele you want to attract. So like I said at the start, when I did that candle business, that is exactly what happened with me. I had candle businesses inquiring and fighting to work with me because they'd seen exactly what I can do for a candle business. So that is one way that you can try and attract without reaching out to other businesses to try and get work. The next thing that I will say is that to trial absolutely every way of marketing and see which fits with you. So for example, is it starting a YouTube channel? Is it going on to TikTok? Is it, I don't know, trying out all of these platforms, email marketing? Is it cold calling? I don't know, whatever it is, trial it out, do each one for a month and see what attracts and what doesn't. And then you can home in on that way of marketing and figure out exactly what works for your business, because something that works for someone else isn't going to work for every business. So for example, my way of marketing might not be your style of marketing, and you have to find out exactly what works for you and your style of business. Let's go on to the next one, which is quite a good one. So this is, what's your sketching / brainstorming process like? So this is a really, really good place for me to say that every process for a designer can look different, and there is no right or wrong way of doing a process. So for me, I never sketch things out, and I know some designers might turn their noses up at this, and that's absolutely fine, but that is just not my way of working at all. I am the kind of girl that after the strategy stage with my client, I've got my research, I've got my mood board, I've got some brand words, I've got everything that I need. I go straight into Adobe Illustrator and I start working from there. I put all of the information on there and I just get to work. I just have never been that type of person that's liked to kind of draw out my ideas first. I like to just get straight into the platform, which is Adobe Illustrator for me, from when I build brands, and I just work so much better when I do that. I find myself when I'm trying to like sketch things out before, like I've tried to sketch things out because I've seen other people doing this and thought, oh God, is that the process? Should I be doing that? When in fact, I probably wasted half a day trying to come up with stuff when I could just do it within Adobe Illustrator. So even if someone is doing something a certain way, don't ever feel like as a designer, you have to do it that way, because everyone's process is different. You have honestly just got to figure out what works best for you and your business and your process. Do not worry what other people are doing. If someone else is sketching first, great. If you're not sketching, great. There is no right or wrong answer. And I've definitely felt this within the design industry that, I don't know, people worry so much about what other people are doing and their process looks like, where you should be creating your unique process for yourself and your business and actually figuring out what works best for you, because like I've said previously, something that works for someone else may not work for you. One thing that I would love to know is what your process looks like. Are you a sketcher? Do you go straight into Adobe Illustrator? Do you do loads of research? Let me know in the comments what your process looks like and we can have a conversation. Let's move on to the last question that I'm going to be answering. This has been so fun. I need to do more of these Q&As. And this is, what's your favorite and least favorite thing about freelancing? It's actually really weird, because if you ask like my friends, my family, my boyfriend, I have never ever wanted to run my own business. Like, it has never been on my mind to kind of want to build something and run my own business, be a freelancer, whatever. Whereas now I could not think of another way of working. Like, I don't want to go back working for someone else. So it's just such a weird thing that the pandemic and being furloughed has pushed me in this direction of something that I initially just never had in my mind. Like, I was always comfortable with working like a normal job, but now I just love pushing myself out my comfort zone, and I'm living for that. So yeah, but yeah, my favorite thing about working for myself, I would probably say, is having that complete freedom to just kind of do what I want. So right now, I actually don't have any ties to like anything. I don't have a house, and it means with the job that I have and the work that I do, it can be done from anywhere. So one of my goals for like the next few years is to be able to go and see more of the world, and my job allows me to do that, which is incredible to think about. Think of the vlogs that I can do if I'm going on like seeing more places around the world. It's going to be epic. But yeah, I feel like in my older job, when I had like that 9 to 5, I just felt really tied down to it. Like, you had your certain day holidays, like you just couldn't really get away. So now I just feel like completely free. I can choose the jobs that I do. I can go and travel. I can go and do exactly what I want, and I'm not tied down to absolutely anything. So I'm actually going to add another point, because why not have two? So something else that I really love about kind of working for myself and running my own business is that I have no one telling me what I should and shouldn't be doing. So I can literally do things my way and actually have fun with it. Whereas I felt very restricted at older jobs, where like I'd have to report back to a manager, it would have to go through someone else, and then things would get changed. And although I work with clients, I see that more as like a collaboration and we're doing it together. And I don't know, I just like the fact that I can market myself in the way that I want to, which isn't the typical way you see brands kind of marketing themselves. Like, I have no one telling me what to do, and I just adore that. Then we are on to my least favorite thing about running my own business, and it is the dreaded admin. So there's like little jobs that I have to do, like responding to emails, going through my enquiry form, doing my accounts. Like, these little jobs do add up, and they are very annoying. Like, even at my older jobs, I would hate doing emails. Like, that was the thing that kind of I just dreaded. But I guess it's just such little things, whereas like all the pros, they just overweigh all of those cons. So I wouldn't have it any other way. And in the future, I can hopefully get like a VA or something like that. But right now, I'm not too fussed because I don't actually have that many emails other than sponsors and clients. It's okay, so it's manageable. So there is definitely more things that I love about working for myself than I dislike. So if that is the way, then you know that you're in the right industry, the right career. Like, working for yourself isn't for everyone, and I completely get that. And even for me, like I mentioned before, I've never wanted to work for myself, but until I dip my toes into the water, like, I don't want to go back. Like, I adore it so much. I just get to do kind of what I want, like I mentioned at the start. Anyway, that is the end of our Q&A, and I hope you have enjoyed. And if you've made it this far, congratulations. I feel like my voice is going and that I've just been absolutely rambling non-stop, but I hope you have enjoyed the video. If you have, make sure to give it a thumbs up. If I didn't manage to answer your questions, I do apologise. There were tons of questions and I had to pick out kind of like the top ones that I know would be good to answer. But if you do have any questions, pop them in the comments and I will go through and answer them as I can. If you have enjoyed this video, make sure you hit that subscribe button and I will see you at the next video.